Hell Let Loose has had a recent update adding a new skirmish game mode, further updates to the British forces, and a welcome refresh of the rather divisive El-Alamein map. So how does this new content feel to play, and is it worth your time? I'm LCTR, so let's take a look at this latest Hell Let Loose update. So if you like this sort of milsim content, then don't forget to slap that thumb up button and pop that subscribe button right now. And, of course, just before we start, in my normal full disclosure way, I want to say that many years back I was given a code so I could cover Hell Let Loose on my channel. Skirmish is obviously the main headline feature added to this latest patch. It's the first game mode to be added to Hell Let Loose in a while, and represents a marked difference in the approach from previous game modes. Gone is the pure focus on the established mold of lengthy, player-reliant milsim game modes. Now the focus is pivoted to a more condensed and immediate game experience. It doesn't shed all the hallmarks of the previous modes though. There are still player-controlled spawn locations, and as such, player agency is still high in this mode. With the smaller overall map area and central singular capture point, you're more likely to be close to the action, and less likely to find your enjoyment spoiled by an uncooperative or silent squad of teammates. To this end, I actually enjoyed Skirmish Mode more than I was anticipating. I figured it might feel like a diluted experience. Isn't the interaction with the other players what these games are all about, after all? Well, yes, but I found that the drawn-out epic matches that I've had in Hell Let Loose and other milsims aren't always what I have the time for, or even what I'm actually in the mood for. It demands less investment in a number of different ways, and that's a good option to have for Hell Let Loose players. The shorter match time does provide impetus to get things going. The predictable collision of opposing forces on one central area means it's a race from the moment you can move. Yet there's opportunity for smart play, and informed placement of flanking spawn points, or pushes to help attack and defend. The limited time also meant that I never really experienced a ping-pong of control over the point. It tended to be held by the first successful attackers, or maybe flipped back once. Of course, OG Hell Let Loose veterans may find themselves undernourished by this experience, but I'd argue that this game mode was never meant to replace the other core modes. This is complementary to them. You get an espresso hit of Hell Let Loose intense gameplay, to focus more on infantry combat. There are reduced vehicle numbers, but it's still 50 versus 50 on a smaller map. If you have any opinions on Skirmish, whether you enjoy it or avoid it, then let me know in the comments. Really interested to know what people think of this new mode. The maps we have at the moment are adaptations of existing maps, but one is fresh out the oven with a refresh of El-Alamein. But it's Driel that I experienced first. The full-size map, for me at least, is most famous for being a massive, grinding central fight over that bridge anyhow, so that already sounds perfect for the Skirmish game mode with its singular point design, right? However, that's not really how this works out. The actual capture point is placed south of the infamous bridge in a slightly nondescript area of the countryside. I'm also aware that many people don't like the already one-point focused nature of Driel, and that's a matter of preference. If I'm in the mood, it can be a good time. The Skirmish map is still bisected, with the railway embankment running north to south, but there's a tunnel punctuating through, allowing access without running across the rail. Either side is fairly uniform topology. I don't want to call it boring, it isn't, that's too harsh. It's just that when I picture the full Hell Let Loose map Driel in my mind, it's such an extreme example of central pressure over a water-spanning bridge that this Skirmish Mode version just feels a little flat by comparison. And perhaps I'm being harsh, maybe it'll grow on me in time, and I hope so. El-Alamein is a whole different kettle of fish though. The previous incarnation of this map I've talked about before. It's a far cry from the European forests and hedgerows and picturesque villages that made up Hell Let Loose's map pool for so long. The long sightlines that really define that experience haven't been removed. This is still a sniper's paradise, but much more density and interest has been added to the map to provide respite for the majority of us who unfortunately spawn without the scope equipped. This is a full map rework too. It's not just the smaller Skirmish map. It's the semi-urban feel that the ruins give to this iteration of El-Alamein that initially leaves an impression. The old pressure to do long runs across open ground while thinking, any second I'll be looking at a black screen. Well, that feeling is lessened for sure. The rock structures and gullies allow players to shield themselves from snipers in a way that simply wasn't an option before. Perhaps most illustrative of this is the addition of tunnels through many of the larger hills. This will never be hurt kind of forest though. The very long distances punctuated by dense urban or other areas actually reminded me in a sort of roundabout way of the Atacama Desert map from Battlefield Bad Company 2. that was even more extreme, like islands in a flat sea of sand. Well, this new El-Alamein sheds that feeling now. The play spaces feel better suited to giving infantry opportunity and choice compared to that original iteration. And on the whole, I'm pretty positive about the addition of Skirmish to the game. I guess the main downside I'm finding is that it's significantly less popular than the original core game modes. Perhaps that was always going to be the case, as this mode is less about the established player base and more about potentially broadening the appeal of Hell Let Loose, or at least about giving new players an opportunity to learn the combat part of the game more quickly. I'm sure there are people who view this as a cynical, be more like Battlefield addition to a milsim, but I do think there's value, often for the more grown-up and therefore busy existing Hell Let Loose players, to enjoy a smaller installment of the gameplay too. I do wonder what veterans of the game think of Skirmish. I'm guessing you've played it already by now, so let me know in the comment section whether you like, dislike, or maybe it hasn't even crossed your path as you only play on clan servers. Regardless, I'm interested to read your feedback in the comments. The British troops get another pass at improvements with their ongoing rework in this patch. We see 4 new weapons, including Sten and Thompson variants, as well as the famous Gammon Bomb, added to those with an appetite for an explode-on-contact grenade to go with your nerves of steel. I played a number of these additions, they all behave pretty much as I expected, but really the takeaway I left with is wondering if the game can ever really balance the authentic British weapon selection. For example, the Bren gun is arguably the most visually obstructive weapon in the game. The large vertical magazine, the chunky rear sight ring, means that I often find it easier to actually scan the horizon without ADSing at all. I'm not saying that it isn't realistic, but I'm wondering how far the devs can go with tuning what is a game after all to overcome these inherent disadvantages. There are discussions we could have about the fact that, well, in real life people generally have 2 eyes, and therefore their combined vision means that the actual experience of using the weapons isn't as claustrophobic as you might imagine, but this is a video game on a 2D screen, and our vision in the game world is from a single point. I'm in 2 minds whether I want something that's less historically accurate but more balanced to use. Maybe thinner sight structures? Even then, that feels sacrilege on models obviously made with care and an effort towards authenticity. Again, I'd like to know what you think about this. Are you okay with the British Forces equipments being accurately portrayed, even though it might be more difficult to use in-game? Or are you happy to make some changes to equalize and balance between the factions? Again, let me know in the comments below. I saw on Reddit a post from someone who said that they'd had a negative experience with a player through voice chat. The kind of discrimination that I fear we've all heard in online gaming spaces before, perhaps all too often. They were posting to say thank you, and that they appreciated that the other members of their squad stood up to the person over voice comms, and this culminated in them being kicked. I think it speaks well for the best of the Hell Let Loose community. Milsim titles seem to attract people who are a bit older than your normal arcade-like FPS game. The genre asks more of its participants, and in turn can be so much more rewarding when you coordinate with people and win as a team. To that end, I want to say thank you for those players who speak up when they see or hear people behaving in a way that we as a community find unacceptable. I see you. It's easy to sit quiet, but of so much value to those being excluded when people choose to draw a line and help to set the tone for what is okay. One of the beautiful things about online gaming is that we can all come from different backgrounds, and it's that unifying love of gaming that brings us together. Some of my most memorable moments in this game are with people I don't know. We shared laughs and commiserated in losses, but these experiences should be for everyone, so thanks again for those who choose to stand up. So, what do you think of all these changes from this latest patch? The new maps, the skirmish mode, everything. Let me know all your powerful thoughts and feelings by leaving a comment below right now. Like always, I'll read every single one of them. If you did enjoy this video, please do tap the thumb up button and that subscribe button. It really helps support the channel and lets you know when the next video is ready. I know it's been a while since my last video, so an extra thank you for the support. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.